I think the king right now, his best bet would be to distance himself completely, make it clear to Harry that the Sussexes are not welcome at all in Britain for a very, very long time.
A growing scandal involving Prince Harry and his last remaining genuine charity project, the Invictus Games. But is it really a charity project at all?
Meghan Markle being furious with the royal family because of the snub that they gave to Harry around his stay at Buckingham Palace.
The Vancouver Games last year for Invictus cost $63 million. And I'm trying to figure out where the money went.
Prematurely, if you like, accepting an invitation to open the Games.
I don't think she'd have played her as well as Claire Foy played her in A Very British Scandal.
I think, you know, when you get to be a person like Harry, you don't really have much self-awareness, let alone self-criticism, let alone allow yourself to be surrounded by people who say, well, you know, are you absolutely sure that that's accurate? And they've been living in a bubble. They've been living in a self-fabricated bubble where they have effectively believed themselves to be the victims.
Yes.
Well, now, they're not the victims, they're the perpetrators.
$63 million. That's the staggering figure that has thrown Prince Harry's Invictus Games into the center of a growing controversy. An event created to honor wounded veterans is now facing serious questions about where such an enormous amount of money was actually spent. Critics have alleged the costs seem unusually high compared to similar competitions around the world.
The most recent games, held in Vancouver and Whistler in February 2025, brought together 543 wounded military veterans from 23 countries. The total cost, 63.2 million Canadian, or approximately $118,352 per competitor.
While no financial wrongdoing has been proven, the numbers alone have fueled widespread public debate. And as more people examine the records, the controversy only became more intense. The debate exploded after royal biographer Tom Bower made one of his most controversial claims yet.
She would have normally been there because Invictus has always been her showcase event. Invictus was Meghan, whether it was in Vancouver or Düsseldorf or The Hague. That is where Meghan was able to star and revive her great image of the smiling Duchess. Now, I think people will say, what on earth is this woman doing here? On the arm of a man, as I say, exposed as a liar and having lost all that money. And he's got financial problems now. He's not covered by the insurance for such a huge amount.
Instead of calling it the Invictus Games, he labeled it the Meghan Games, arguing that the event had become more about Meghan Markle than the veterans it was created to celebrate. Supporters dismissed his comments as unfair, while critics insisted they reflected what had become increasingly obvious.
That has all now gone sour. That's all now gone really bad for the Sussexes. So they have
what was the objective in them doing that?
Well, to resurrection, be the royal family, somehow find a way in which they could monetize themselves through being accepted again in Britain. But of course, they're not apologizing. They have no contrition for the terrible things they've done over the last 5 years. So I never understood exactly how they thought it would play out, except that...
According to Bower, media attention repeatedly focused on Meghan's appearances instead of the competitors' inspiring stories. His remarks changed the entire conversation and encouraged many people to look at the games through a completely different lens.
There's an irony here that Harry is spending millions of dollars taking the Daily Mail to court and their owners for an invasion of privacy when the only commercial success Harry has is invading his family's privacy. Has that not dawned on him that if you go read the biography that they paste on whatever, speech Harry's giving at whatever Honda convention in Ohio now these days, because now he's a motivational speaker, I guess. They all say, that he wrote this sensational book that everybody loved, this best-selling book, and they talk about the Netflix series. Like, if his bullet points are these 2 projects that tore his family to shreds and, really disrupted their privacy, how does he have the audacity to go sit in a courtroom and try to take somebody to task for doing the same thing to him.
When Prince Harry founded the Invictus Games in 2014, its purpose was both simple and inspiring. The competition was designed to help wounded servicemen and women rebuild their confidence through sport while showcasing their extraordinary resilience. For years, it was considered Harry's greatest contribution to veterans and one of his most respected achievements. But after Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, some royal commentators believe the event gradually became part of the Sussex's public image. Those claims remain disputed, yet they continue to divide public opinion and raise difficult questions about the game's original mission. Financial concerns intensified after reports revealed that the 2025 Vancouver and Whistler Games reportedly cost more than 63 million Canadian dollars. Many supporters were shocked by the enormous budget, especially after comparisons were made with similar veterans competitions operating for a fraction of the cost. Critics argued that the figures deserved greater transparency, although high spending alone does not prove misconduct. As journalists and independent researchers began reviewing public documents, they claimed to find even more unanswered questions. Instead of ending the debate, the financial records appeared to deepen it. Among those examining the accounts was a former finance professional who publicly analyzed the game's published budgets. According to her calculations, many expenses appeared reasonable, yet millions of dollars still could not be fully accounted for using publicly available information. Her conclusions have not been independently verified, but they quickly spread across social media and royal commentary channels. The controversy grew even larger after claims surfaced that parts of government funding documents had been heavily redacted. Whether routine or not, the missing information only fueled more speculation and public curiosity. The discussion soon shifted beyond finances and back to the veterans themselves. Public filings reportedly showed direct grants to veteran organizations had fallen during the same period that overall income and financial reserves increased. Critics argued this created the impression that administration was expanding faster than direct support for wounded servicemen and women. The foundation has maintained that most of its spending still supports charitable activities, including running the games themselves. Yet many observers continued asking whether enough resources were reaching the people the charity was originally created to help. Reports also began emerging that some organizers and commentators were concerned the spotlight had shifted away from the competitors. According to those claims, media coverage increasingly focused on Harry and Meghan's appearances rather than the remarkable stories of recovery unfolding throughout the games. These accounts remain disputed, but they added fresh momentum to an already heated debate. At the same time, reports suggested some sponsors and partners had become more cautious about their future involvement. The questions surrounding the games were no longer limited to finances, they had become a growing reputational challenge. Today, the Invictus Games remain one of Prince Harry's most important achievements, but also one of his most controversial. Tom Bower's criticism, the financial questions, and the ongoing public debate have transformed how many people view the event. None of the major allegations have been proven as fact, and much of the discussion remains based on claims and public speculation.